Hello everyone, welcome to the YouTube channel. This is the Crucible of NYC. I'm your host, Domingo. Here today, I would like to present to you the Bluetti AC180. This is a portable battery power station that I purchased on Amazon Prime Day. This was on sale for $549. It normally goes for $999. And this is the smaller variant from the Bluetti AC200 Max. The AC200 Max that I have has 248 watt hours. The smaller variant, 1152 watt hours. So this is built on a lithium iron phosphate battery pack, just like the other one is, the 200 Max. This has a total of 3,500 life cycles at 80% original capacity. It comes with an MPPT solar charge controller and obviously the BMS to protect the battery packs. It also comes with four 120 volt, 15 amp outputs at a total of 1,800 watts per port. And the maximum that it will allow you to surge would be 2,700 watts. It comes with four USB-A's, 3 amps. Each pair would be 15 watts at limit. A USB-C power delivery port, a 12 volt receptacle up to 10 amps, and it's also regulated. It comes with a 15 watt wireless charging pad right on top. It also has a turbo mode when you charge the device for up to 1,440 watts. The normal, it just goes up to 1,000 watts. You have a 500 watt solar input using the barrel port, the DC PV input port that's right up here. That's 12 volt, 60 volts at 10 amps. So the charging station from, I believe it's from 0 to full at turbo, it'll be about 1 to 1.8 hours. And with the wall and charging of the solar, you can combine, but it does a preference to the wall and then to the solar, excuse me, and then it seeds off the wall and tries to balance out what you need. So now that we have all the technical stuff, besides of what this has, this also acts as a UPS. So if you're connecting this Bluetti to the wall and you have devices connected to this, it will automatically transfer the power from the grid to the battery without any loss or anything shutting down. This also has a 5-year warranty from Bluetti that they're now offering. And that's great because the Bluetti AC200 Max came with a 2-year warranty. So your port for charging, it's right here. You use the grid port, which is these cables. You have your circuit breaker to stop it if anything trips. And you also have your grounding port here. Inside the box, you have your 110, 15 volt AC power cord. You have your MC4 power cord. MC4 cable connected to the 6mm or 8mm power plug. You also have your 12 volt for the car, and you have your XT60 to the power cord. So this way you can connect additional solar panels. It comes with an instruction manual and a warranty card. So now that we got the technical stuff out of the way, how good is this power station? Well, from a person who has had Bluetti before, I trust Bluetti and I really enjoy their products. They have very good products, and this is a great product to have as a standby. So just in case if anything happens, power outages, you want to have some source of backup. I had unboxed this and fully charged this because when I received it, it was close to like 50%. And the reason why I charged it was because I just wanted to make sure that everything was working fine before I did the review. I didn't want anything to happen, and then I would just, in the middle of the review, I would tell you guys what would happen. So I figured I'd test everything out beforehand. So I will connect a space heater that I have, and the space heater is like about close to 1,200 to 1,500 watts, and it's just like your basic space heater. So the power draw I tested on this is just to make sure that every receptacle worked fine. And like I said, the space heater is a very trusty space heater that when in the event in the wintertime, those are great to have. Unfortunately, you know, we live in places that sometimes it gets too cold and the heating just fails. This Bluetti also supports the Bluetti Bluetooth app. So you can pair and you can also see your Bluetti device remotely. So not from afar. So this is just I believe it's a Bluetooth or a Wi-Fi app. Okay, so the Bluetti supports the Bluetooth app as well. So once you power it on, it comes up to a screen giving you the description of like the input, the output, the percentage, and the state of charge. Also, if it's in eco mode or if it's in powerlifting mode or any other modes it has, you have your DC input, which turns on your USB ports and your 12-volt ports. And then you have your AC input, which turns on the inverter and allows you to utilize the 4 ports. So I have the heater connected to it. So I'm just going to quickly show you the Bluetooth app. So once you have the Bluetti app, you need to enable the Bluetooth so that it can communicate with the Bluetti power station. So because I've had my power station added here, I'll go to my devices and you'll see the Bluetti AC200 Max. And if you go to add device and add device again, you'll see that the Bluetti the 180 would show up there. You click on the Bluetti and you just press OK. Just give it a device name, start it, and you're going to be successfully connected to it. So once you click to it, it's going to connect to the Bluetti AC180. And then on the device itself, you're going to see this little Wi-Fi and Bluetooth icon on the Bluetti. And it's going to show you the state of charge, the Bluetooth receiver reception up here. It's going to show you what's coming from the grid. The production is coming from the solar. This is coming from the grid. This is the full 100% capacity and what's being depleted or discharged. So I had enabled the DC port and the AC port. So the DC port is the USB port and the 12-volt auxiliary port, and then the AC port, which is for the outlets, the 15 amp, 120-volt outlets. Here you can enable and disable or turn on and turn off the ports from here. And if you had additional power packs, battery packs, it would come up here as an additional power pack. So here it shows you the state of charge and the BMS is on standby mode, and it tells you group 1, which is the battery. I don't think, you can click into the battery and it tells you the serial number. It gives you the batteries that are in parallel, if there were any alarms or error codes, protection status, all of this will show up there. So you could also power off the Bluetti AC180. Also, for if you receive this and you haven't done so, I would advise you to go to the settings and try to upgrade, which is the update. If there were any updates, it would tell you to update it. So it gives you the BMS version, the Internet of Things version that it's using, the ARM controller, and all the specifications. And powerlifting is like if you're going to use something that's something like a motor, I would say like a heavy fan or something like a heater that you're going to use a lot of power that it's not going to damage your electronics. Powerlifting, I wouldn't even use it because it's such a small device. I would just use this for like a refrigerator to keep it on standby. You have eco mode, and we can turn off eco mode, which it can just give you, it would just preserve more power from the inverter. And you can also select the time when you want this to automatically shut off. The eco mode is the how much watts you believe you want to use, from 15 to 30 watts. All these default features, I will leave them alone. And if you don't want the AC eco mode, once you disable this on AC and DC, you'll see that the eco mode disappears on the screen as well. So being that we're going to preserve power, we're going to put the eco on and keep this on. And we're going to go and turn on the heater. So right now, from where it was before, it was 99.9. Obviously it's not true, Now it's at 85.4 hours. So if I turn the heater on low, you'll see that there's a draw of 720 watts, and then it starts to idle down. And you see 715 watts, 719, and it's correlating to what the app is saying. So it's like maybe a second delay or two, but it's on par that if you're not close to the device and you want to be able to see what's going on, you can find out the state of charge on this battery. So this heater, which is great because if you lift up this heater, it shuts off. So what I wanted to do was put this on the floor because it was getting a little warm next to the battery pack. So we'll put this on the floor and we'll go back to the Bluetti and we'll see that it's 720 watts. So we're gonna go and we're gonna crank this up on high, and let's see the draw from here. Let me turn this on high. And you see that it jumped to 1400 watts, 1.4 kilowatt hours. So as you can see, this is not a problem for this Bluetti power station. 1400 watts. It tells you that the total runtime will be about 0.7 hours. So yeah, not a long time if you're running this on high, but if you preserve your energy, if, say for example in the winter time, you'd have about 1.4 hours. This is not an ideal power station for this. The ideal thing would be if you're using a refrigerator. So if you're using a refrigerator, the surge would be around 800 to 1000 watts. That would only be for a little while, and then it'll just taper off. Then it'll just seed off the battery. So a power station like this with a big refrigerator would run you like about 8 to 10 hours, maybe more. But it depends on your refrigerator, depends on the size, how much is the draw of your refrigerator. This is why I would use something medium like this. If in the event, if you cannot afford something like a Bluetti AC180 Max that has 2 kilowatts of power, I would go with something like this and maybe add like an additional battery, which would be like a lithium iron phosphate battery, a 12 volt lithium iron phosphate, and then you would get yourself something like this that has alligator clips, and you would use the XT60 connector, and then you would use it with this. So you would have to purchase like a gender converter, because these two won't go in, as you can obviously see. So I have something that I created before, which is in a meter, and I use this watt meter that I have this XT60 port, and you see that that goes into that port and the other port into the other port. So this is the male part, the other one is the female part. So connecting those two terminals with those two devices, you can have like a lithium iron phosphate battery. If you use those XT60 alligator clips and you purchase a male to female gender conversion from the cables to charge it using that PV port right there, you can get a smaller battery pack like this 100 amp hour Redodo battery. You can use that Redodo battery to extend the battery capacity of the Bluetti by connecting the alligator clips to the battery, then using your conversion cables and then connecting it to the port, the DC PV port. And that will give you an extended runtime of this Bluetti AC180, using that it has 1152 watt hours. So if you have 1152 watt hours here, on this Redodo, you have 1280 watt hours on the Redodo. So it's a 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery, which is the same chemistry as the Bluetti. So if you really look at it this way, you have a total of 2 kilowatts, which is just about the same exact capacity, just a little more than the Bluetti AC200 Max that I have. And the AC180 comes with 1152 watt hours, plus the 1280 watt hours, you have 2.3 kilowatt hours. Now here's the difference between the Bluetti AC200 Max and your 180. So when you connect this battery into the Bluetti AC180, it's gonna draw the power slowly. It's not gonna pull the battery and the power too fast, because unfortunately this port is 10 amps. So if you're using 12 volts at 10 amps, you're about 120 watts. It's gonna be pulling from that port. Now, because this is a 12 volts, now what you can do is you can install a DC to DC charger that converts this 12 volts into 24 volts at 10 amps. Now you're charging this device back at 240 watts. So it's a little bit of editing and changing and altering to make something like this run your refrigerator, run any devices that you have in the event that you have a power outage. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drain the AC180 a little more, and I'm gonna try to connect the Redodo 100 amp hour battery to it to see how the draw is, and just stay tuned. Okay folks, so after connecting my multimeter, because I wanted to just reassure you folks that this is a 120 volt power station, and this also supports, it also has a 60 hertz pure sine wave inverter. So this is a pure sine wave inverter with the 120 volts. The voltage is clean, and this is the adapter piece that I told you folks that I had connected, that it has a meter. It's something that I put together, a multimeter with the cable, so that I can connect an XT60 cable into it. So being that the power station is at 83% state of charge, at right now it's at 57.2 hours it has of runtime, and you can see the same information on the app. So when I connect this barrel port into the input, you'll see that the solar PV icon came on, but also I heard a click. And as you see, the battery's charging at 100 watts. Like I said, it's gonna be no more than 100 to maybe 120 watts. And you can see it's 13 volts, the battery state of charge. And let's see, so yeah, 102 watts it's taking from the PV side. So it's acting like a solar panel. So if you had a DC to DC charge controller, it would go from 100 to 200 watts. And as you can see, the same here on the app, it's charging the Bluetti back. So you can, in theory, have this running side by side to the Bluetti AC180, because if you have a refrigerator, remember, refrigerator turns on and off. It doesn't stay on all night. So if you, in the event of a power outage, what you can do is that you can take the refrigerator's thermostat, lower it, so that this way it doesn't have to keep constantly turning itself back on. And you would be fine. You wouldn't have to worry about, hey, you know, if my battery does die, how am I gonna charge it back if I don't have enough solar, if it's raining or anything in that nature. So what you can do is also, is that what you can do is you can get a 20 amp battery charger, and with the alligator clips, in the event that the power does come back, you can connect the alligator clips to the battery using the smart charger, connecting to an AC wall outlet. Take your battery and charge it at 20 amps. At 20 amps, that's the maximum limit that this battery can take anyway. So if you're down to like 20% at 20 amps per hour, it's gonna take you some time. It's gonna take you like roughly around 5 hours to charge this battery. But at least you have a method of how to charge your battery back if you cannot afford Bluetti's battery extension, which they are kind of pricey. They're great because instead of charging at 100 watts, you'd be charging the battery back at like 300-400 watts. So that's why in the event, if you cannot afford that, you buy a DC to DC charge controller, DC to DC charger, from connecting it from this battery into the Bluetti AC180, and you would have it charging back to its normal state. So now, who is this for? This is for someone who is on a budget, who's trying to have some source of power at home, that if in the event something does happen, that they have their method of getting something, some lights, fans, anything, but at least they have some power home. I would suggest someone going with something in this route where it's cost effective. Get an extra battery with Redodo batteries, and it costs you like $200. They're on sale now. So with the Bluetti AC180, I still think it's on sale for $549 if I'm not mistaken. But if not, when they do go on sale, it's, if you can't afford an AC200 Max, which is 2 kilowatt hour, but remember the Bluetti AC180 200 Max comes with a 30 amp receptacle output. It comes with 2200 watts to 2000 watts of the peak that you can use per port as opposed to 1800. But at the end of the day, if you're on a budget and you are looking to get something to keep at home, to have some light, some fans running, any kind of electricity at home, I would suggest getting a small Bluetti AC180 and get a 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery, and just get a conversion kit from XT60 female to male, and it goes connected into the DC solar input, and you're good to go. You have a total of 2 kilowatts of power that you can continue to run. So in this combination with these two, will run you like roughly about a day, maybe a day and a half. But at least you can charge this separately if you buy a small solar charge controller, portable one. If you have some solar, if you don't have any power yet, you can charge this aside and then charge the Bluetti. So there's many ways that you can charge these devices. So what are my thoughts? If you're looking for something on a budget, like I said, definitely go with this. This will definitely not break the bank, and it will at least give you some peace of mind, which is something that you would need, I think, as a person nowadays, that we're living in times that we can't really trust the system and this whole thing how it is. You know, everything's just out of whack. You never know if the light's going to go out. But one more test that I forgot to show you, which is the wireless pad charger. This is 15 watts. It's not a fast charger, so you can see that the battery is charging. It comes up there. Let's see if I can get this clearly. And you can see the battery. It's coming up there, and it's charging the phone, and it's pulling 2 watts. So remember, this is a 15 watt wireless charger, but the only thing is that the reason why it's at 2 watts is because the battery is at 92%. So yeah, this device is great. I do highly recommend it. And this is for, like I said, someone who's on a budget, who wants to try to have something working for themselves and not have to worry about, hey, if there's a power outage, how am I gonna survive, or I need power, whatever. Get this. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them on the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And remember that if you're not subscribed, subscribe and like. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps the channel. Take care, folks, and have a good day.